As they were finishing their meal, a knock came at the door. Baylin rose to answer it. Luana could not see who it was when he opened the door, but she could hear a woman's voice.
"Baylin, so this is where you have been hiding."
Luana craned her neck so she could see who it was. "Oh," Baylin said. "Princess Isla, to what do I owe this honor?" Luana turned her head back to focus on her plate. She tasted bile in the back of her throat, feeling the icy tingle of nerves mixed with anger travel all over her body. "Princess Isla." Luana was miserable. "I never thought I would have to meet her, this woman who plans to take Baylin from me."
"Well, when you refuse to present yourself to your guests, the only choice is for your guests to come to you."
The woman cackled as she walked past Baylin into the room. Luana could not help but look up to see the princess. She was tall, closer to Baylin's height. She had to admit that the princess was pretty, but her face and expression seemed hard and unpleasant. Isla was dressed as though she was already Queen of Grasmere. She wore a magnificent, rich crimson velvet gown with a black and gold silk filigree underskirt. The bodice was encrusted with what appeared to be small faceted rubies that shimmered in the light. The edges of the gown were trimmed in gold-braided embroidery that travelled from the front of the gown all the way to the back of a long train that trailed behind her when she walked. On her head she wore a gold circlet with a round ruby in the centre. It gleamed in contrast with her raven hair. The princess turned and saw Luana staring at her.
"This is your bed, wife."
Baylin looked uneasy, unsure what to do or say. "Princess Isla, please allow me to introduce Luana." Isla's jaw tightened as she studied Luana. She reminded Luana of a snake deciding when to strike a mouse. The behaviour that most surprised Luana was Baylin's. He treated her as though she was an equal to the princess. She knew he loved her, but she never considered herself to be on the same level as anyone in the castle. "He really does want me for his queen."
"Father says she is with child,"
Isla continued, never removing her eyes from Luana. "Yes," Baylin replied. He took a deliberate step, putting himself between Luana and the princess. "Yes, she is. Master Kion expects she will have the baby by the end of summer." "Stop talking as though I'm not here." Luana was furious. This woman had intruded on a wonderful morning, and now she was standing here judging Luana as though she were some animal. The princess walked a few steps closer and reached out to touch Luana's hair, causing Luana to seize up with tension. Isla laughed.
"Let's hope your son does not inherit certain aspects of her appearance. Can you imagine a boy with this hair? He would look more like an elf than an heir to Grasmere."
Baylin ran his hand down the back of Luana's hair gently. The soft motion and warmth of his touch helped to calm her. He looked at Luana lovingly. "Actually, I'm quite fond of her hair." Isla looked taken aback, but quickly gathered her composure in feigned fondness.
"Oh, certainly it is very pretty. Just more suited for a girl."
To Luana's shock, Baylin smiled up at the princess. "Thank you, Isla. Though I assure you a boy is most desired, daughters would be just as loved." Luana saw a lightning-quick flash of a sneer cross Isla's face, but it was replaced with a forced smile.
"I'm certain the gods will bless you with many children. Obviously you'll have this one with your bedwife."
Princess Isla reached out and took the prince's hand.
"You must know I pray to the gods every night that it will be a son. I know how much you and the kingdom hope for a boy. However, certainly your main concern will be producing true heirs with your queen some day."
The words cut through Luana like a double-edged sword.
"His queen. She knows the king plans to marry Baylin to her."
Luana's heart ached. She looked down at her hands in her lap. Baylin placed a reassuring hand on Luana's shoulder as he addressed the princess. "Right now my only concern is the well-being of Luana and our child."
"Certainly."
Isla's gaze fell on Luana, piercing so that her blood ran cold. Baylin began to walk toward the door. "Isla, perhaps you should go back to your chambers with your family. I will join you all within the hour." Never taking her eyes off Luana, Isla hissed,
Well, I suppose.
Baylin opened the door. I promise, within the hour. Isla finally broke her glare at the bedwife and walked to the door. She stopped in front of Baylin and looked back at Luana. Her face was turned so only Luana could see the slight smirk on it. The princess turned to face Baylin with a sickeningly sweet smile. She reached out and touched his face, sliding a finger down his jawline.
Don't be long. According to father, we have much to discuss about our futures.
The princess leaned toward Baylin and kissed him on the cheek, throwing a knowing glance at Luana. The sight of Isla's hands on him made Luana clench her fists in her lap so hard that her nails cut into her palms. Luana looked away, unable to handle the scene any longer. "Goodbye, Isla." Baylin shut the door behind the princess as she left. He made his way over to Luana and knelt next to her. Luana was still sitting in a chair at the table with her fists gripped tightly. "Dearest, I am so sorry." She wanted to cry, but she was too angry to let the tears fall.
"She seems to be very pleased with the arrangements the king has made for the two of you."
"No," Baylin protested. "There are no arrangements as far as I'm concerned. It is you I love. I refuse to marry Isla." Luana turned her gaze to the growing light out of the window.
"You cannot say that. As long as your father is king, you must do as he commands."
"I will change his mind," Baylin said gruffly, standing to his feet. Luana sat in silence for a few moments. She watched the clouds float in the sky, casting shadows on the land below as they lazily passed by.
"You can't win every battle, Baylin. Not even you can fight the king's will."
He took Luana's hands and brought her to her feet. "I must go." She looked away, too sad to hold Baylin's gaze. She could only manage to nod without crying. "I love you." Baylin leaned in and kissed her lips. He cupped her cheek in his hand. "Please smile for me."
"What do I have to smile about?"
Luana hated the sadness in his eyes. She forced a small smile. He smiled in return. "Much better. I will be back soon." Baylin turned, leaving the room. At the sound of the door closing behind him, Luana let the grief take her. She fell to the smooth, cold stone floor and let the tears fall down her cheeks.